It was a blazing afternoon in Ouagadougou, the kind where the heat bends the air and turns shadows into trembling ghosts. President Ibrahim Traoré had just finished a surprise inspection at a small public school. His convoy sat quietly at the roadside, engines humming softly like sleeping beasts. Soldiers waited in disciplined silence, until Ibrahim suddenly stopped walking. Someone had pulled his attention. Across the street, slumped against a weather-worn wall, sat a man who looked almost invisible. Clothes torn, hair mixed with dust, skin burnt from the sun. A tin cup lay beside him, empty except for 2 coins that looked more like pity than help. People passed him the way they pass cracks on the pavement, seen but ignored. Ibrahim narrowed his eyes. Why does he look familiar? He raised a hand. "Wait here," he told his security, his tone sharp enough to freeze the air. The beggar, sensing movement, looked up slowly. Sunlight struck his eyes, sunken, tired, haunted, and for a breathless second, both men froze. The man whispered, voice trembling like old glass. "Ibrahim." The president's heart clenched. That voice, that face, buried under years of suffering but still alive somewhere beneath the dust. He stepped closer, disbelief mixing with a flood of old memories. "Musa?" His voice was barely a whisper. The man tried to stand, but his knees wobbled. "It's really you," he breathed, tears gathering at the corners of his eyes. "It's me," Ibrahim said, gripping his shoulder firmly, like he used to do back in school. "What happened to you, my brother?" Musa swallowed hard. "It's a long story, and not one I ever thought I would tell you. Not like this." "Come with me," Ibrahim said. I can't." Musa looked down at his bare, dusty feet. "I'm not fit to enter your car. Look at me." Ibrahim's jaw tightened. "You are my friend. That is all that matters." And for the first time in years, Musa didn't argue. He simply nodded, and fate shifted. Minutes later, Musa stood inside the presidential residence. His eyes wide, confused, overwhelmed. He bathed. He changed into clean clothes. He sat before warm food that smelled like hope itself. But he ate slowly, almost fearfully, as if one wrong move would wake him from this miracle. Ibrahim watched him quietly, his expression a mixture of sadness and silent fury. Fury at life, at injustice, at the world that had allowed this to happen. When the plates were cleared, Ibrahim poured 2 glasses of juice and sat across from him. Now came the truth. "Musa," he said softly, "you were one of the brightest men I knew. What happened?" Musa didn't speak at first. He stared at the glass as if the story was floating somewhere inside it. Then he sighed, and his soul opened. "It started 3 years ago," he whispered. "I was a school principal in Bobo Dioulasso. Good salary, respected, stable life." He paused, his jaw trembling. "I built a small house with my own hands, brick by brick. I married Stella. For a while we were happy. Or, I thought we were." His voice cracked. "She changed. Always on her phone. Always angry. I thought it was stress. I didn't want to believe the signs. Then came the moment that crushed him. One afternoon, I came home early." He swallowed. "I found her in our bed with another man." Ibrahim's fists tightened. "What did you do?" "I walked out," Musa whispered. "I couldn't fight. I was shaking too much." And then, as if betrayal wasn't enough, she stepped outside. Unashamed, unbroken, unremorseful, and told him, "It's over. Leave my house. He is the one I love." "My house," Musa said bitterly. "The house I built." Ibrahim's expression darkened. "What happened after that?" "She took me to court," Musa said. "She lied. said she paid for everything. She brought fake documents. The judge believed her. I was thrown out like a stranger. And your job? Gone. I spent everything on lawyers. Lost everything. My dignity. My purpose. My hope. His voice collapsed into silence. I slept under bridges. Begged for scraps. Ate once a day if I was lucky. And every night, I saw her laughing. Happy. While I disappeared. Tears rolled down his face. I wanted to die, Ibrahim. I truly wanted to die. Ibrahim stood. His eyes filled not with pity, but strength. Musa, he said firmly, you didn't deserve any of this, but I promise you your life is not ending here. This story will change. Musa lifted his head slowly. You still call me your friend? After seeing me like this? Ibrahim leaned forward. I never stopped. That night Musa slept in peace, for the first time in years. But Ibrahim didn't. He remained in his office, papers untouched, memories rising like ghosts. He remembered Musa, the boy who shared his last pencil, who defended him against bullies, who pushed him to dream beyond the walls of their school. Ibrahim exhaled deeply. I'll give him a fresh start. The next morning, Musa woke to the smell of warm bread and eggs, clean sheets, fresh clothes, a quiet dignity he thought he would never feel again. A staff member entered with a tray. Good morning, sir. The president asked me to serve you, sir. After years of humiliation, that one word almost broke him. As he ate, one question echoed over and over in his mind. Yesterday I was a beggar. Today I'm in the presidential residence. But what will tomorrow bring? Later that morning, Ibrahim approached him in the garden. No uniform, no guards, just a simple outfit and a warm presence. Musa, he said, your story broke my heart. I didn't want to bring trouble into your home, Musa murmured. You didn't bring trouble, Ibrahim replied. You brought truth, and truth must lead to action. And this is where the real story begins. Ibrahim nodded, his expression gentle yet powerful. Yes, starting today we rebuild your life, step by step. You're not alone anymore. Musa's lips parted, but no words came out. It was the first time in years someone had spoken to him with a plan, with purpose, with love. That morning, Ibrahim kept his promise. Musa met a doctor, someone who didn't judge him, someone who treated him as a human being, not a burden. He received medicine, care, and attention. For the first time, he felt like someone worth healing. Then came a haircut, his first in years. As strands of matted, dust-filled hair fell to the floor, it felt like the weight of his past falling away with them. He stared into the mirror. The man looking back was not fully restored, but he was no longer broken. A spark, small, fragile, but real, glowed in his eyes. Later, Ibrahim drove him to the outskirts of the city. They stopped in front of a charming cream and brown house surrounded by a modest garden that danced gently in the afternoon breeze. Musa stared in awe. It's beautiful, he whispered. Whose is it? Ibrahim smiled. A smile filled with memories and brotherhood. It's yours. For a long moment, Musa didn't breathe. Ibrahim, no. This is too much. It is fully paid, Ibrahim said. No court, no lies, no one can take it from you. Musa felt his chest tighten. His voice cracked as he whispered. Musa blinked. Action? What do you mean? Ibrahim took a deep breath. Why would you do this for me? Ibrahim's eyes glistened. Because I remember who you are. You shared your books with me when I had none. You stood up for me when everyone else stayed silent. Before the world saw a leader in me, you did. Musa swallowed a sob. I only did what friends do. And now, Ibrahim said, laying a hand on his shoulder. I am doing the same. The house was warm and alive. Soft light, clean rooms, a kitchen with polished cabinets, a modest bedroom with fresh sheets, a small office with a wooden desk and a bookshelf waiting to be filled. But that wasn't all. I've opened a bookshop and school supply store for you, Ibrahim said quietly. It's near a secondary school. You will run it. I will fund it for the first year. You were born to help children. Let's return you to that path. Musa's hands trembled. For the first time in years, his tears weren't from despair, but from hope carving its way back into his heart. Weeks passed. Musa transformed. He ran the bookshop with pride, arranging books with care, greeting students with warmth, helping anyone who walked in with questions or worries. You can't just memorize, he told one boy struggling with math. Understand the steps. The answer will follow. Word spread. People no longer saw a beggar on the street. They saw Mr. Musa, a dignified man who had risen from dust to purpose. Every day, he felt the weight of his past grow lighter, until one afternoon, the past walked right back into the shop. Musa! He froze. The book slipped slightly from his hand. There she stood, Stella. Her pride gone, her jewelry gone, her confidence shattered. Beside her sat a small suitcase, the symbol of someone who had run out of places to go. Musa, can we talk? Outside, he said firmly. When the door closed behind them, Musa folded his arms. What do you want, Stella? Tears rolled down her cheeks. He left me, she sobbed. The man I chose over you. He sold the house, ran off with another woman. I have nothing. No home, no money, no one. Musa felt the old pain rise. But this time, it did not control him. I'm sorry for what happened, she whispered. Can I stay here? Just for a while. He looked at her for a long, heavy moment. This was the woman who once destroyed him without blinking. Now she stood before him, begging. Stella, he said calmly, I forgave you long ago, but I've moved on. My life is peaceful now. You chose your road, and I've chosen mine. Please, she cried softly, even a room. I wish you well, Musa replied, but this is not your home. Without another word, he walked back inside, heart pounding. Not from fear, but from strength. That night, Musa called Ibrahim. She came back, he said. And? Ibrahim asked. I told her no. On the other end, Ibrahim's proud smile could be heard even through the silence. I'm proud of you, Musa. You didn't just give me a house and a business, Musa said quietly. You gave me back my dignity. Life settled into rhythm. The shop flourished. Children admired him. Teachers respected him. He became more than a shopkeeper. He became a mentor, a guide, a quiet guardian. Then, one Friday morning, the bell above the door rang. A woman in a simple blue dress walked in. Warm smile, bright eyes, a quiet kindness that immediately softened the room. Good morning, she said. Do you have senior school math textbooks? Yes, Musa replied. Come with me. She followed him to the shelves. Her voice was gentle, steady, soothing. I've seen you help children who can't afford supplies, she said softly. It reminds me of who I used to be. Musa smiled shyly. Back at the counter, she extended her hand. I'm Grace. I teach at the secondary school nearby. Musa, he said, shaking her hand. I own the shop. Her eyebrows lifted in pleasant surprise. That's wonderful. This place feels peaceful. We need more people like you. Musa felt something he hadn't felt in years. A flutter in his chest. Not pain, not fear, but something warm, something hopeful. Days passed. Grace began visiting now and then, sometimes for supplies, sometimes just to greet him. Each time, Musa felt the walls he had built around his heart soften. He didn't know what destiny was writing for him next, but destiny knew, and it was already moving. Time has a strange way of healing the heart. Slowly, quietly, almost shyly. For Musa, healing came not in grand moments, but in small ones. A warm glance, a meal placed gently on the table with the words, "I thought you might like this." Because Grace was different. Their conversations grew longer, warmer, and, without either of them noticing, more necessary. Some afternoons, Grace brought home-cooked meals wrapped in cloth. Rice with vegetables, peanut stew, fried plantains. They would sit on a wooden bench outside the shop, watching the sunlight fall across the dusty road. Their conversations drifted from sorrowful memories to quiet jokes, to stories they had locked deep inside their hearts for years. Grace had her own share of loss. She was a widow, raising her young daughter alone. She understood loneliness. She understood brokenness. But she also understood the strength it took to rise again. One evening, the sky glowed with streaks of gold and purple. They sat outside, the world hushed around them. "You're a strong man, Musa," Grace said softly. Musa shook his head, looking down at his hands. "I don't feel strong, just grateful to still be here." Grace turned to him, her voice steady and warm. "No, you walked through fire and you came out kinder. That is strength most people never learn." Musa's eyes softened. "I never thought I'd meet someone like you, Grace." She looked down, her cheeks warming. "And I never thought I'd smile like this again." In that moment, something inside Musa healed. That night, Musa called Ibrahim. "I think I've met someone," he said hesitantly. Ibrahim chuckled warmly. "So now Musa has become a lover boy, Musa laughed, embarrassed. No, she's different. She is calm, wise, full of light." Then Ibrahim's voice shifted, serious, warm, proud. "Then don't let that light go. You deserve joy, my brother." Those words stayed in Musa's heart long after the call ended. Grace's daughter, Rachel, soon became a regular presence in the bookshop. She helped arrange books, dust shelves, and organize the reading corner Musa had built especially for kids. She had a bright spirit, full of curiosity and warmth. "What's this book about?" she asked one day. "Oh, this one." Musa sat beside her, opening the pages. "This is about a boy who discovers courage inside fear." Rachel leaned against his shoulder as he read, and slowly, naturally, Musa found himself caring for her like she was his own child. Grace often watched the two of them from the doorway, her heart swelling. One sunny afternoon, Musa invited Grace and Rachel to a quiet garden, filled with flowers, shaded trees, and a silence that felt sacred. Rachel ran ahead, chasing butterflies. Grace stood beside Musa, confused but smiling. Then, Musa knelt. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Grace," he said softly, voice trembling, "I don't have much to give. Not wealth, not luxury. But I have peace, respect, and a heart that has healed because of you. Will you marry me?" Tears filled Grace's eyes. "Yes," she whispered. 1,000 times yes. Rachel squealed, running toward them, wrapping her arms around both. And in that small, blooming garden, a new family was born. Their wedding was small, but full of laughter and warmth. Neighbors came, friends came, teachers came, children came, carrying flowers and singing softly. And President Ibrahim Traoré came as well, not as a president but as a brother. After the ceremony, he pulled Musa aside. "You look like a man who has found peace," he said, smiling. "I have," Musa replied. Ibrahim placed a hand on his shoulder. You found peace because you refused to give up. Your story reminds the world that broken does not mean finished. Musa's eyes glistened. Months passed. Musa's home was filled with laughter, Grace's gentle laugh, Rachel's playful giggles, the clatter of books and pencils, the aroma of home-cooked meals. His business thrived. His reputation blossomed. And something inside him felt compelled to give back. He launched a foundation, a shelter for men who had lost everything, just as he once had. He offered training, support, and guidance. The very first day he addressed a group of broken men sitting before him, he said, I was once in your place, hopeless, alone, invisible. One friend changed my story. Now I want to help change yours. And silence filled the room. Heavy, emotional, transformative. For the first time, many of them felt seen. Across town, Stella sat alone in a small rented room. Her pride had vanished. Her dreams had collapsed. Her choices returned to haunt her like shadows on the wall. She called Musa many times. He never answered. Once she went to the shop. It was closed. On the window was a sign, closed this week for family reasons. See you next week. Beside the sign was a picture, Musa and Grace standing together, Rachel smiling between them, joyful, loved, complete. Stella stared at the image, her eyes blurring. She had once held everything in her hands and thrown it away without a second thought. Now Musa had something she never valued. Peaceful home, a loving family, a heart rebuilt, a life restored. She was left with nothing except regret. The sun dipped low, painting the dusty road in shades of gold and rust. Stella stood silently in front of the small shop, her eyes hollow, her hands trembling. The world felt heavier now, crueler, colder, quieter. She had nothing left but regret. She slowly turned away, her footsteps dragging through the dust, as if every step pulled pieces of her broken past behind her. The wind brushed through her hair like a fading memory. Then she disappeared into the dusk. But somewhere else, life was moving differently. That evening, Musa sat on the porch with Grace. Their small wooden home glowed softly in the warm lantern light. Grace handed him a cup of tea, steam lifting gently into the still night. Above them, the sky was calm, sprinkled with stars, tiny diamonds scattered across black velvet. Grace looked at him, her voice tender. Do you think your ex-wife regrets everything now? Musa watched the stars for a long moment before speaking. Maybe, but that's her journey, not mine anymore. Grace reached out slowly and took his hand. Her fingers fit perfectly between his, like healing filling the spaces where pain used to live. Let's keep writing new chapters, she whispered. He smiled, squeezing her hand gently. Beautiful ones. For Musa, life was no longer just a story of personal victory. It had become a testimony, a living, breathing proof that brokenness is not the end. He had gone from sleeping under bridges and surviving on scraps to becoming a respected businessman, a loving husband, and a father figure to many. And the impact was real. The Musa Foundation had already helped 50 men rebuild their lives. Some became mechanics. Some opened barbershops. Some ran food stands or small roadside kiosks. But they all shared one thing in common. They believed again, because Musa had first believed in them. One warm afternoon, as Musa was organizing files in his small office, his phone rang. The caller ID made him freeze. President Ibrahim Traoré. He picked up quickly. Musa, Ibrahim said warmly, I want you to speak at the National Youth Conference. Your story needs to be heard. Musa's heart thudded. Him? Speaking to the whole nation? But he accepted. The day of the conference arrived. When the announcer called his name, Musa walked onto the stage wearing a neat gray suit, shoulders squared, head lifted high. The applause was gentle, respectful, like the audience sensed they weren't welcoming a celebrity, but a survivor. He stood behind the microphone, took a steady breath, and began. I was a man who lost everything. A hush fell over the hall. Not because I was lazy, not because I failed, but because I trusted the wrong person. He paused, letting his words settle. My wife and her lover took everything I had. My home, my savings, my dignity. I was thrown out like waste, mocked, humiliated, empty. The audience watched him, eyes wide, hearts softening. But one scorching afternoon, while I sat hungry on the street, a man I once helped found me again. He turned his head slightly, eyes landing on Ibrahim in the front row. That man didn't pity me. He didn't walk past me. He lifted me up. He reminded me that even broken things can be made beautiful again. Silence, stillness. Every soul in the hall felt the weight of his words. Then Musa smiled softly. Today I hold no anger. The best revenge, he paused, is peace, joy, and moving forward. Your story can change, he continued, lifting a hand. No matter how far you've fallen, don't give up. When he stepped back, the entire hall rose to their feet, cheering, clapping, some even wiping tears. Musa walked off the stage a different man. Not a victim, not a survivor, but a symbol of hope. Later that night, Musa and Grace sat in their garden. Their daughter, Rachel, laughed as she played with their small brown puppy, its tail wagging wildly. Grace leaned against Musa's shoulder. Do you still think about her? She asked softly. Musa exhaled slowly. Not with anger, he said. Just curiosity. How someone could throw away gold, only to pick up sand. Grace laughed quietly, brushing her thumb against his hand. She lost a good man. And I gained a queen, Musa replied, kissing her forehead. The garden lights shimmered. The night smelled of wet soil and fresh beginnings. But somewhere else, in a dimly lit restaurant kitchen, Stella washed dishes with trembling hands. The man she had left Musa for? He had stripped her of every coin, left her with debts she couldn't pay. The house she once stole from Musa was gone, taken by the bank. Loneliness clung to her like dust. One night, she broke. She tried to end her life, but fate didn't let her. Now she lived in the ruins of bad decisions. Sometimes, late at night, she opened her phone and searched Musa's name. Pictures of him smiling with grace, carrying Rachel on his shoulders, laughing on stage at events. Each image cut deeper than the last. The man she thought would crumble without her had risen higher than she ever imagined. Without her, she always whispered the same thing to herself. I threw away the only man who truly loved me. A year later, Musa received a special invitation. Dinner at the presidential palace. The gardens glowed under elegant lights as musicians played softly in the background. Ibrahim walked beside him, hands behind his back, smiling warmly. Musa, he said, come with me. I have something for you. He handed Musa a small dark box. What's this? Musa asked. A recognition, Ibrahim replied, for your work with the Musa Foundation. Musa opened the box slowly. Inside was a golden medal, shining, heavy, meaningful. His breath caught. Ibrahim, Musa whispered, voice thick with emotion. The president pulled him into a firm embrace. You didn't just rebuild your life, Ibrahim said. You changed others' lives too. That is the true meaning of leadership. Musa felt tears sting his eyes. You changed mine first, he whispered. They stood under the vast night sky, the stars blinking like blessings. Musa looked upward, his voice soft, almost carried away by the breeze. "Who would have thought," he murmured, "that the man who once had nothing would one day have more than he ever dreamed?" His eyes glowed not with pain, but with quiet victory, with gratitude, with peace. The past? Gone. The future? Bright. And this time, no one could take it away, because he finally understood. No matter how far you fall, one act of kindness can become the first step back toward hope. And the choice to rise is always yours.